Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Mafex The Boys, Homelander, and William Billy the Butcher. I got these two figures from amyamy.com. Probably pronouncing that wrong. That's where I get all my Mafex figures from. It's a lot cheaper and faster than any American websites. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, The Boys, Homelander action figure, Mafex. This is the 151st figure in the Mafex line, Medicom Toys. Here's the figure, and here he is. Looks like a ton of hands and heads and different display options. One side of the package, The Boys. Other side, got Homelander posed up. The back, all the different display options, numerous heads. The bottom, a bunch of credits. Here's his barcode, in case that helps. Then we have the Butcher, weapons, bunch of accessories. The Boys, Mafex, 154th figure in the line. On the back, you can see him with all his different various accessories. Ton of options here. And here is his barcode. So with no further ado, let's open them up. Alright, now that we have these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They come with quite a bit of stuff. They both have a display stand and flight stand. Homelander has 9 alternate hands, totaling 11 interchangeable hands, 3 heads, and an alternate front piece of his shirt. And then Butcher here, he has 8 alternate hands, totaling 10 interchangeable hands, 2 heads, a super baby, a rifle, a watch, a cattle prod, and a crowbar. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation, and we'll compare them with a bunch of other comparable action figures. Before we do that, we'll take a quick peek at both the figures, and we'll start off by looking at Homelander, as I think he's the one that most people are interested in. So here's Homelander. Now, Neca made their own versions. Detail will probably be a little better on these guys, but I prefer Neca scale. So starting with his head here, it looks pretty good. I'd say the likeness to the actor is superior to Neca's. That one looked like Homelander, but not really getting the likeness right. Hair looks good. Eyes, a little bit dark around them. Stern expression. Now the texture on his suit is fantastic. I mean, look at that. You can see the sort of eagles on shoulder pads. They do kind of move out of the way. Not going to obstruct the articulation much. Looks like Mafex's style of double jointed elbows. It all looks very nice. The paint and sculpt detail is excellent. Double jointed knees. He's got that Superman-esque type suit. Now he has a cloth cape, and the pose looks great the way it came in. But as a bendy wire, you can do pretty much whatever you want with this thing. American flag. Then we have the Butcher, Mr. Billy here. Beard looks good. Face has a lot of wrinkles above his eyes. Looks like either he's angry, he's got some power going through him, or he's just a wrinkled old man. Hair looks good. Beard looks good. He's got this cloth soft goods jacket. I actually think it looks pretty good, although it doesn't really match the rest of the figure. You can see his necklace, black shirt, black pants. Looks like double jointed knees. Probably elbows too. Pretty good looking figure. I personally was more excited for him than Homelander, as I already have a Homelander, but this may be the only Billy the Butcher figure that they make. Like I said, I want to look at Homelander first, as he's probably the more sought after of the two figures. We do know Mafex is making a Black Noir next, and I think that's going to be a great figure. Now we just looked at him, so let's look at him again real quick. Face good, a little darker around the eyes. I like the sculpt on the hair, the shoulder pads, texture on the suit. It all looks fantastic. Really liking that cape. Just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. I think it looks pretty darn good. And here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and we'll start off with his display stand. It comes with a bunch of different pieces and has a ton of different display options to support the figure. When put together, the main part of the display stand looks like this. Transparent, it's got a large base, several different holes you can put the post into. Then we have the post here. It can rotate at the bottom, hinged at the bottom, hinge in the middle, hinge near the top, rotation near the top, and a clamp to hold your figures. It does have a lot of other parts for different various display options. Now let's take a look at his hands. He has a total of 11 of them. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. Then, with his next pair of hands, these are a couple of pointing hands. He has his index finger pointing. Here's his third pair of hands. These are some large outstretched hands. They look like they could be some grabbing, throwing, or choking hands. And his next pair of hands, these are more or less some flat hands. They would look pretty good relaxed at his sides. And then his next pair of hands, these are semi-open. They would also look pretty good relaxed at his sides. These are probably the most normal or default hands he comes with. And he has one additional right hand. This hand is giving a thumbs up. Either he's hitchhiking, or someone gave him some breast milk. Now let's look at his heads. He has 3 of them. One with a regular expression, one with a smiling expression, and one with red eyes and an angry expression. Here he is with his first head. This one has the most normal expression. Then with his second head, this one is smiling. Once again, breast milk. Here's his third head. This one has the red lasers about to come out of his eyes, and he's angry. Now let's look at his last accessory. This is the front of his shirt. The one on the left is clean, and the one on the right is sort of open. Here he is with the clean part of his shirt or uniform. Then, with a flap pulled down, uniform a little bit open. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 6.4 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 16 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can't look up very much. He can look down a good amount. It's going to hurt him into a flight pose. Can't get his head to look forward. Not going to look that good. He does have articulation at the bottom of the head, top of the neck, as well as the bottom of the neck, although it doesn't move that much. Shoulders, they sort of have that drop down feature and then go down and go back up. His shoulder pads kind of move out of the way. Not going to prohibit the articulation too much, but does interfere still. Goes out less than 90 degrees. It is a ball joint, up, down, around, all that good stuff. You sort of see the drop down feature here. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go in about that far. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another ball joint his waist, rotate around, forward and back, giving him pretty good range of motion of his torso area. His legs, about as far as they go out. Ball joints, rotation, it's there, not too impressive. They go forward about that far, back about that much. Double jointed knees below that, they go all the way back. Then his ankle here goes forward, rotate, tilt, rock, and there's toe articulation. Here's the Mafex Homelander next to the NECA version on the right. Now I personally prefer the 7-inch scale to the 6-inch figures, but I'm going to have to give it a Mafex. I think it's a better figure overall. The likeness is better, and one of the first things I notice is the inside of the Mafex figure's cape is finished. NECA's is not, and it's just very noticeable from any point of view. Now let's look at William Billy the Butcher. He comes with a ton of accessories, display stand, 10 hands, 2 heads, a super baby, a rifle, cattle prod, crowbar, and a watch. But let's go and take a look at him. Starting with his face, likeness I don't think is quite as good as Homelander's. It looks like Billy the Butcher, but the actor's likeness is a little bit off. Hair looks fantastic, beard looks fantastic. He just has these wrinkles on his face, and I get what they're going for, but it just kind of makes him look like old and crow's feet. That being said, black shirt, Chest exposed a little bit, got the necklace there. Looks like we've got a ball joint in his torso, probably one in his waist as well. I like the coat, although it doesn't really match the plastic on the rest of the figure. Just my first thoughts when looking at it. Black slacks, black boots. Overall, I'd say I'm a little more excited for this guy than the other one, as it's a new character to bring to the Boys universe. And just a closer look at his face or head sculpt. And then, here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's take a look at his accessories. We already checked out the display stand with Homelander. The butcher's here is very similar, just has a couple less parts. Now let's take a look at his hands. He has a total of 10 of them. Here he is, with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. Then, his next pair of hands. These are some gripping hands. They should hold some of his accessories. Here are his next hands. Sort of some open hands. They would look good relaxed at his sides. Here's his next set of hands. Not exactly a pair. The right hand appears to have the trigger finger for his gun, and the left hand looks like it could open something with a larger grip. And here's his final pair of hands. His right hand is kind of open, very similar to the other ones. And his left hand here, it has a notch in the palm. It's going to help him hold the Super Baby. Now let's take a look at his heads. One has a more or less normal expression, and one has a smiling expression. Here's his first head. This one has the more normal expression. And here's his second head. This one has the smiling expression. Seems to be enjoying what he's doing. He's probably hurting somebody, or killing somebody, or making somebody do something they don't want to do. Now let's look at his watch. It's completely done in one color. You can see the front there with the time. It's going to fit around his wrist. Could definitely benefit from a better paint job. Here he is, without the watch. Then, with the watch attached. Now let's look at his rifle. Once again, completely black. Could probably benefit from a little bit of detail added there paint-wise. You can see the scope there. Handle, clip, long barrel. Here he is holding the rifle. He's able to hold it with one hand in the trigger area, and then his other hand supporting the barrel. It's a pretty big gun. Here's his cattle prod. I remember him using this thing to hit the translucent man. The front, that's where it's going to shock you. Then it's got the silver pole. Red, where he holds it. And this little sort of strap hanging off the end. Here's Billy, holding the cattle prod. Now let's look at his crowbar. Totally done in gray or silver paint. This would be great for your Joker figures. It's got the little fork at the bottom, the curve at the top. I mean, it's a crowbar. Nothing really exceptional about this, but I'm going to put it to a ton of use in my action figure world. Here he is, holding the crowbar. He can hold it with either one hand or with two hands. Now let's look at the baby. It's in a white onesie. It's got a little cap on. Eyes are totally white. It has zero articulation. It's one solid piece. You can see where the notch will go in to hold the baby. Here it is, next to some other babies in my action figure world. One's from the Spawn line, and one's from the Ghostbusters line. Here's the Butcher holding the baby. He can use its laser vision against anyone he needs to. I think this baby would also work great for the scene from the comic Batman The Dark Knight Returns, where the mutants are threatening the baby, and Batman ends up saving its life. Now let's look at his jacket. It's done in sort of a darker green color. Looks good for the most part. It's got some little patches on his elbow and shoulders here. I just feel like the cloth doesn't quite match the rest of the figure being hard plastic. Here he is, without the jacket, and here he is with the jacket on. The jacket has got a bendy wire down the side here, so you can make it take any shape you want, have it flowing in the wind. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 6.25 inches tall, which can translate to a hair under 16 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. Can't look up very much, but he can look down that far. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Give him a good amount of personality. Just like Homelander, he's articulation at the top of the neck and at the bottom of the neck, although the bottom does not move that much. Shoulders also have that drop down feature. Up, down. They can extend a little bit more than 90 degrees. Ball joint, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a bicep cut below his shirt here. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint his torso, rotate around only about that far, forward and back. Another ball joint his waist. It's covered up nicely with this overlay, although it definitely hinders your articulation. Rotate, forward and back. So you get most of it out of this thing here. A little bit less range of motion than Homelander. His legs only seem to go out about this far. Ball joints. He does kind of have the drop down legs also. Up in his leg and then down. Double jointed knees, although they only go back this far, it gets stuck sort of here where the two parts touch each other. He's got rotation in the ankle, forward and back, tilt, rock, and he has toe articulation. Here's the Butcher shooting his rifle at Homelander. Homelander simply puts up his hand to deflect the bullets. The Butcher always has an extra trick up his sleeve. He has a super baby. He pulls it out to fire against Homelander. He uses the baby's super-powered heat vision to actually do some damage and hurt Homelander. Homelander's caught off guard by this. Butcher takes advantage when Homelander's down, zaps him with a cow prod, prepares his super baby for another blast. But of course, this is not going to be enough to stop the Homelander. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other The Boys figures. Here's the entire collection of Mafex The Boys figures. Just Homelander and the Butcher. Next to the Neca collection, they've made Homelander, Black Noir, and Starlight. We know the next Mafex figure is going to be Black Noir, and the next Neca figure is going to be A-Train. At the slow rate that Neca's pumping these guys out, Mafex may actually surpass them as far as the quantity of figures. Time will tell. I swear, Neca released 2 figures about a year ago, and then 1 figure very recently. I'm not sure what the holdup is. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. Since they're Mafex figures, they typically run between 6 and 6.5 inches tall. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the smaller action figure lines I collect, and work my way larger. But first, we're going to check them out with some of their Mafex brothers. In front of you are 6 different action figures, all from Mafex toys, all 6-inch scale. Then, next to some more Mafex figures, these are a little bit more, how should I put it, theatrical. And here they are, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Then, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And here they are, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here they are, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here they are, next to some McFarlane toys. Then, with some DST or Diamond Select toys. And finally, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. Overall, these are some great figures. Sculpt and paint job are excellent. I don't see any issues there. Their accessories are plentiful. Articulation is pretty good. The only thing I could use a little more of is a little more rotation in the bicep, elbow area. They do have bicep cuts, but doesn't quite do everything I want it to do. Other minor complaint, I actually think Butcher's jacket looks fantastic, but I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't really mesh with the rest of his body to me. If I were to rate these figures, I'm going to give them both an 8 out of 10 for different reasons. Homelander just looks great, moves good, the texture on the suit is fantastic. But Butcher is more so the kind of action figure I like, a regular type of person. I'm going to be able to use him for a ton of different things in my action figure world. And for that, I give both these guys 2 thumbs up. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.